welcome to another episode of Real Deal Property Sharks. I'm your host, Jersey Mike. And as you all know, like I always say, I'm the real deal. And of course, you know, my two co-hosts, we have lovely Debra Face, the face of real estate.
Hi, everybody.
And of course, we have good old Coach Nick.
I'm not wearing the shades today, Mike. I'm not wearing the shades today because we got a serious thing going on.
Say what?
Because we got something serious going on today. We got a special guest.
All right, today, folks, we're changing up the format. Of course, we're still social distancing, as you can see. But today, we're going to break it up. And today, we have a very special guest with us today. And I'm going to let Nick, there's your chance. Go right ahead and introduce our special guest and tell us a little bit about him.
Absolutely. So a lot of people may or may not know that I have been in the martial arts world for quite a long time. And one of my friends on Facebook is none other than Eddie Gordon, Truck Eddie Gordon. And for people that don't know the UFC, a former UFC major player. Major fighter in the UFC, very successful, a lot of victories, and one of the nice guys of the martial arts world, the MMA world, who was a Fordham University graduate. So it was brains and broad, right? Is that the word, brawn? Or broad? Broad is a broad. Broad is right. It's brain and broad.
Not a broad. He probably had a lot of broad.
Not a broad. Man, we're going to get comments like crazy. I didn't mean it. I promise. Yes, I did. I was trying to get a laugh. But brain, and not just brawn, but brains too. And after you went to school and got your degree at Fordham. You worked as a banker, so a lot of this stuff that's going on with the coronavirus affecting businesses, they can't double talk you because you know what the banks do, right? And then of course you went into the UFC and really shook it up pretty intensely. And Eddie, you also went to the other league as well, right? After that, or it was just UFC?
The Pro Fighter League. So yeah, try to stay busy.
Right. So you've got quite a background, and we have. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, why do we have a UFC fighter on a real estate show? Well, there's a reason. He is a business owner, like many people that are watching this, and he owns a gym with a physical location. And of course, he's been shut down now for the coronavirus, as many other businesses have been shut down. And I'm going to let Eddie tell us a little bit about what's been going on.
Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for having me, Mike. Thank you for having me, Debra. It's a true honor.
A pleasure.
Thank you. It's crazy, man. What a lot of people don't realize is that this is an attack on our society. This is an attack on our business owners. An attack on our people. And some people get excited about that little stimulus package that they sent out. That's the drips. That's literally the drips. That's like the bribes to kind of keep you quiet so you don't look into it. And as a professional athlete, sometimes people think that you don't have any business savvy. I know that Father Time's undefeated. So, I decided to open a brick and mortar business. I decided to use the popularity that the UFC did for me and the platform they gave me to give back to the community. And right now, that's who's hurting. It's not about being a Republican. It's not about being a Democrat. It's not about being a liberal, conservative, nothing. It's
about being American.
To me, it's all
Eddie, the politicians are telling us that you can get these grants and you can apply for loans. Why didn't you apply for the loans, Eddie?
Oh, man, listen. I applied for
I'm saying that tongue in cheek, right, Eddie? Yeah, because I applied for the same loan, and you know what I'm doing? I'm doing this, people. All right?
It's wild.
You do that all the time anyway.
True story, Mike. Did you apply, Mike? Eddie, did you apply?
Oh, no doubt about it. I applied for
How long ago, Eddie?
Well, we're going on months right now. But listen, I guess that the Lakers, Ruth Chris, Shake Shack, they're the small businesses that needs the money. It's crazy. It's crazy. To give out $20 million to a company that showed a $40 million profit. So you gave them 50% of their profit, and they end up giving it back because they felt bad. They gave it back because they got caught. Like, let's get
damn straight.
They gave
Damn
it back
straight.
and they got caught. If nobody said nothing, they would have probably took that same money. And Debra, you could, sorry, come quick. I call you Deb, you don't like that.
Yeah, that's okay.
You collect.
Truck can call you anything he wants.
Listen, I'm not messing
Just
with a
don't call
pretty
late
face
for
and a
dinner.
smile.
That's it.
I'm not messing with a pretty face and a smile. But what people don't realize is this. They're going to take that money. What these big companies are going to do, they're going to take that money. They're going to go, they're going to purchase real estate. That 20 million, that 10 million, that 5 million, they're going to purchase real estate. They're not going to pay their employees. I haven't saw a steakhouse or a restaurant that's operating at full capacity. They're going to take that money, they're going to buy some property up. They're going to lease that property or start a new business, and they're going to pay literally 0.5% on that loan because they're not going to forgive it. But that's money. That's free money at that point. So there's literally no downfall to doing that. They're going to take the money. They're going to acquire properties. They're going to acquire new businesses, and they're just creating a bigger asset. And it's literally free money. It's scary. People don't realize how much people right now are making a killing.
Right.
Finance.
Right. It's all a
Well,
scam.
that's why they say the rich get richer, because they're the ones that have the money. So if they have the money and then they buy up all the real estate, who's controlling everything?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with rich people making.
All of us people who are, maybe middle class,
Right.
or upper class, we never have a chance because we don't have those opportunities, because we don't have that money, because that money never came to us. It never came.
See, I don't have a problem with rich people getting richer. What I have a problem with is this is supposed to be a capitalist country, not a socialist country for the extremely large companies. And what we have is a socialist country for the extremely big companies. And, the small businesses, they get slaughtered constantly. And this is probably one of the biggest money grabs ever. There's going to be a major shifting of money. And I'm not saying that there is no coronavirus.
Was all man-made.
Well, I'm not going to say that there is no coronavirus because I know many people that died from it. It's there, but there are other countries that have like I think it's Sweden that didn't create this hysteria of locking everybody down, and their numbers are dramatically less than our numbers. In fact, our country has the highest number of people that have it. So much for quarantining. Yeah, but it's a question of fairness, and it's a question of fairness, and it's a question of when you have a politician giving a speech in their $20,000 kitchen with 500 types of ice cream.
Right,
I mean, it's like now we're just spitting in your face. And again, not a Democrat, not a Republican. To me, they're all the same. I don't know. In Italian, it's called shit. Yeah, same shit. Same shit, because they did the same thing 8 years ago with Hurricane Sandy. Same thing, right? And here's the thing. A lot of us don't want the fucking handout. I don't want a loan. I want to conduct business. I want you to not break my shoes. Eddie, am I saying something that's wrong?
You're spot on, man. Like I want the opportunity to go. If my business is going to take a hit, I want the opportunity to fight for it. I want the opportunity to put my market into place. I want to put my employees in. I want to put my personality to the test. I want to compete against other businesses. I don't want to compete against a disease. I don't want to compete against the government, because I don't care how good, how strong, how powerful you are. You will lose 100 out of 100 times when you go with the government. They're going to find a way out of this. And
can't fight City Hall, like they say.
Yeah. There's facts.
That's Eddie. I'm going to tell you something. As a paisan, I'm Sicilian and Irish. I have 10 times more respect for the mafia. You know why? The mafia only plays by 5 rules. It's called the 5 Fs. This is when you get whacked if you mess with family, friends, finances, female, or freedom. Done. The rules are simple. Of course, you got to pay the VIG, and Uncle Vito comes over to your place. What's the difference between like the IRS or somebody coming to collect on the VIG? The mafia takes your finger. The IRS takes your house and your car.
Right.
Listen, I'd rather pay the mob. I think the VIG's a lot less than 30.
Exactly. There you go.
I mean, there's businesses out there that are just not going to survive. There's no way that you can stay closed indefinitely. With that, and in New York, out of what I understand, they extended it even further. Right?
Yes,
and maybe I'm wrong, but everybody's saying that they got caught not knowing that there could be a pandemic, but wasn't there a pandemic in the 1900s called the Spanish flu? Wasn't there polio? Wasn't there the German measles? Wasn't there the mumps? Wasn't there the measles? Wasn't there a whole host of other diseases? How come there's no masks for everybody? How come they now have to buy masks? What happened with all these presidents and all these Congress people from decades and decades? What happened? What are you doing? You're smoking a joint? What's going on?
Hey, here's another thing. You ready for this? People haven't heard about this. There was SARS, mad cow, hoof and mouth. Let me see.
Hoof and mouth. Yeah, I know that one. It's around the corner, right?
The hoof and mouth. Yeah. It's a bar. It's you go there, you talk fucking. You go there and you talk stupid, and you put your hoof in your mouth.
That's it. Hey, it's better than putting it in your ass, right?
Well, that's if you do it to somebody else.
Eddie,
there you go.
Question. You said you were in the banking industry. Do you have inside knowledge about how they're working with all of this going on? And
good question.
That's a great question. You know, I spoke to a couple of people that I still have contact with, and everybody plays the blame game, right? So when you go towards the PPP program, you have to actually go to a bank. You go to a bank, and then the bank, pretty much gets guaranteed by the government. So it's literally a free roll of the dice. The bank is letting people borrow money, knowing that if they never pay it back, the government's going to come back and protect them. Banks actually are collecting a percentage on every loan. So any loan over, don't quote me, but any loan over $300,000, the bank gets 3% processing, quote unquote, processing fee. Anything under that, they get 1%. So what are the banks going to naturally do?
They're incentivized.
Loans to their bigger clients. That's why the money runs out.
Crooks. They're crooks.
Straight crooks. The banks made $10 billion in 2 weeks.
Here's my question, Eddie, and maybe you can tell us what exactly is going on. So check this out. They asked us all to do the right things as Americans and stand up with them and so on and so forth and shut down our businesses, cut off our livelihoods. They're still getting paid.
Correct.
Right? The politicians still getting paid. Right? Okay. We did it. We basically got UGATs, okay? We got UGATs for 2 months, right? Okay. Why are we getting a fucking loan? All they did is they printed money through the Fed, which means they created money. They should be giving us money. Don't give me a loan, give me money. Or don't pull this shit and do what other countries have done, where they didn't lock down, they didn't shut the businesses, and they figured out a better way. Because there's no way you're going to tell me that quarantine is a better way when this country has numbers that are through the roof with people at court.
This is the first time in science history that they ever quarantined healthy people. Think about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They quarantined sick people. Like nobody asks these questions. If you're sick, if you don't feel good, you stay home. You stay healthy. Keep healthy.
If you're susceptible.
So
wait. Why do hospitals have ICUs? Yeah. Hospitals have ICUs for a reason. To keep that person in ICU away from everybody else, which is a creative way of saying quarantine.
Yes.
Bingo.
All right. Down here in Florida, I had a very interesting thing. I had a doctor's appointment that was pre-scheduled before all this happened, and I ended up having the appointment with my doctor through telehealth, which I think is something that they should have been doing all along. For minor things, have telehealth. Just do a Zoom meeting like we're doing right now, and the doctors talk instead of sitting in a waiting room for 2 hours to have a conversation for 10 minutes at best, right? Because they're under pressure to move everybody because the insurance companies are dictating to them as well, right? So the doctor turns around and says to me, and I'm not going to name names, but the doctor turns around and says to me, you know how many patients I've seen with the coronavirus so far? I said, no, doc, how many? He said, 0. How about that? 0. Okay. So, I mean, I understand it's worse in other parts of the country, but, my county is still in lockdown. Okay. And when you hear stuff like that from doctors, and I've spoken to a couple of doctors who have basically said, look, it is bad, but it's not as prevalent as people are making it seem to be. And what they also said is you don't know the denominator. You don't know how many people have actually had it because they didn't test everybody, right? So these percentages that they're giving you are inflated because the numerator is the numerator, but you don't know what the denominator is.
Yeah. And whenever there's money involved, you got to always worry because the government's giving these hospitals and everybody grants and money and funding for people that are dying. So of course they're going to inflate the numbers as high as they possibly can. But like you said, they don't know when this started. We don't know if 30% more people already got infected or antibody carriers. There's so many unknowns that doesn't make sense. And listen, I lost numerous people to this virus. So
sure. It's serious. There's no doubt.
But the scary part is that 0.05% of people die from it. The fatality rate is so low. And again, we're putting all of this, we're literally keeping everybody on lockdown versus the sick on lockdown. It doesn't make logical scientific sense. We're going against all of the protocols that's been set up for pandemic. Think about it for a second. When this first thing happened, they said, leave your mask, don't wear gloves, that's worse.
Right.
Then all of a sudden,
they changed everything around. And what Eddie just said, what Eddie just said about like the way they're patenting it. I saw this saying the other day, somebody said to me on Facebook, this was great. It said 70 people died today. 70 people died today in Chicago due to the coronavirus. They died from complications from bullet wounds.
Oh, jeez.
Right.
Facts.
So there you go. So what they're telling you is that anybody comes in, just like you said, to pad the numbers, anybody that comes in, you die of pneumonia, you got shot, whatever. Oh, it's the coronavirus. And so they can put up all the figures.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
But I think, and again, I don't want to diminish the fact that this has been a very, very destructive disease and it's harmed a lot of people. That's not what we're saying. It's just that, we have a government that's supposed to be for the people, supposedly. But it seems to me that it's really for certain people, and everybody else gets the shaft. And I've seen it in more than one occasion. This is not my first rodeo seeing something like this, and it's really quite disgusting, right? Because you can keep people safe that are at risk if they have heart conditions, they're elderly, diabetes, things of that nature. Those are people that need to stay put because they're the most at risk and they're the most likely to die. Okay. But, and even if you wanted to have a shutdown for a short period of time, but you're going into 2 months, you are devastating the economy. And you're shifting money from middle class businesses in many instances that are just barely making it. Eddie's going to make it. He's a winner. I'm going to make it. All right. Because I don't stop. There's people that are just making it and they're getting slammed and it's just not right and they don't have a voice, and that's why I invited Eddie here.
And get Bob. You're Debra.
Also, the government was saying that back in 2008 when we had the big crash, the real estate crash from all the the mortgage companies and the banks, they overextended themselves and all the chaos that was going on. They did that. We should have never bailed them out. Because we bailed them out, I heard through the grapevine that they're supposed to be bailing us out now, that they want them to give that money back to us. Since we bailed them out, they want them to bail us out. Is that not happening?
Well, you hit it on the head. That's an amazing point, right? I like to say that the working class is always going to be bailing out the super rich, and that's going to always happen. The banks, this is probably the most disgusting part about this whole entire thing. The banks are pretty much pulling the wool over the average person's eye. They're offering people forbearance packages. So what they're saying is, don't pay your mortgage for 3 months. After that 3 month period happens,
it's a balloon.
Lump sum of money that you didn't pay, we're gonna put it on. So now you got to come up with your current payment and those 3 months. And if you don't have it, now you're screwed. So if you're not working, if zero money's coming in, how in 3 months you're miraculously going to pick up your business by 300%? It's going to increase by 300%. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck, week to week. You put the people out of business now for months. How are they going to afford to make these payments? Like the logical, easy thing to do would be if you have a mortgage and it's 30 months, You don't pay 3 months. Take those 3 months, put it at the back end of the loan.
Back end, yeah.
You
Right.
don't lose
Actually,
nothing.
there are
Nothing.
some mortgage companies that will do that. You have to ask them, what does the forbearance mean? Is it exactly what you said, or is it in 3 months you start paying, 1 month at a time like you do, and then we'll put it on the back end? You have to ask. If you don't ask, you could, come up with a balloon payment. Also, I always tell people, make sure you get that in writing, have them email it to you. So now you have that in writing so that, down the road, if it comes up that they say, oh, you owe us, and it's like, no, I have it here in writing. You said that we could do month to month. So
this is the scary part, because I'm living through this. I'm dealing with my mortgage company right now. I've been in my current house for over 8 years. Never missed a payment.
Right.
We're in the process. Before Corona happened, we were contract signed. We're selling our house. We're getting a new house. So we didn't have the opportunity to go forbearance, because if we go into forbearance and now after we sell our house, it's already in contract already.
Right,
when we get the new mortgage, it's going to affect you. You're going to say you couldn't pay your mortgage 3 months, so there's no way we're going to approve you for a conventional loan. So
Right.
our hands are tied. So we have no other choice but to actually just keep paying the mortgage. And my wife's in the medical field. She's a dental hygienist. They shut down her practice. She can't go there and do any work. So now she has to wait for the government to pay her unemployment check, which comes on a debit card now because they're saving money.
Right.
You can't take that debit card and make payments with it to your mortgage company because they don't accept cards. So now you got to transfer from the debit card to your bank account, wait those 5 days, then make the payment. So it's an absolute nightmare.
Right.
And like they're still charging fees. A lot of these banks, they're charging you this, and you're at the government's disposal of how fast they're moving papers. You can't magically make this money appear if they physically told you cannot work.
Right.
It's like everybody's supposed to be on the same page, but one hand doesn't talk to the other hand. This person's blaming that person. I had the bank. I'm not going to say which bank, because I don't want them to try to sue this amazing show. They literally sent me an email saying, we got your loan on the first, we got your application. Unfortunately, the money ran out, but it's not our fault. The SBA gave the money out to the law. They're literally, I have the email, I screenshot it. I got to send it to you, Nick. They literally said, they just passed the buck. It's not our fault. We did up. I'm sitting there like, this is the craziest thing I ever heard. And it's the craziest thing.
Eddie, do you want the loan for your business?
Correct. So I have so many different businesses. Like I didn't put a loan request in for my foundation I run. I didn't put a loan request in for my online business I do. I put it just for my brick and mortar business. Just my brick and mortar business. I didn't even put it on my fighting and all other stuff that I can't physically do because I'm blessed. Like I have other streams of income that I could make, not the same. I'm still gonna lose, but there's a lot of people that are hurting 10 times more than I am.
Have you seen some of the online lending places like Cabbage with a K?
Well, I actually had better luck with PayPal. PayPal
was one of them, yeah.
Yes, I had better luck with them. But the QuickBooks, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
The problem is that the average person that tail off, that doesn't have a financial background, doesn't know these options that are available, they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue what's going on. People that have accountants, have CPAs, and have financial CFOs and this person, CEOs, they have all of the resources. Mm-hmm. So they're getting access to all these different grants. Like realistically, nobody sent a letter home. Nobody sent a letter saying you're a small business. You have to watch the news. You have to do this. I try to stay away from negativity. So if I wasn't watching the news or watching my Facebook feeds, how are you going to find out? They have every single business in New York, in Florida, in Maryland. They have articles of incorporation. If they really want to, they can send you an email. They can send you a physical mailing. They can let you know what's available, but they don't. They don't. So it's supposed to be for the small businesses, but they don't cater to them. And I know that airlines are super important.
Did it have any, Eddie, do you think it has anything to do with the fact that their donors are generally not small businesses? The politicians are basically getting their bucks from the bigger companies. Would it have anything to do with that, maybe?
That's 24/7 the case.
Right? And when they're no longer politicians, they're probably going to be getting jobs from these donors. I mean, let's cut the bullshit and get to what it really is, right?
Every single president in the history, Republican, Democrat, every president came into the office, and once they left, they made more money than they did going into the presidency.
Right. And it's not just the presidents, it's all of them.
Everybody.
All of them.
There's more presidents and politicians getting arrested now. You see that you turn on in my local news, Channel 12, and it's like every day now somebody's getting indicted for this, somebody's getting indicted for that. Listen, the government, they got the biggest
racket.
The biggest racket going. It's actually scary because, listen, everybody create teams, politics, Republican, Democrats, this, that. I'm going to believe in politics when somebody who's in the middle class, the working class, can become a president. You cannot become a president unless you're filthy rich. And to throw back to the president too, I don't care who's in office as a president, they don't have as much power as people think they do.
Right.
They don't have, no president can do it by themselves. Everybody gets so caught up in the presidential election, we forget that what we learned in social studies, that there's 3 branches of government. The president is the executive branch. Then you have the legislative, then you got the judicial. Like, we need to worry about what's in Congress. We need to worry about all of other people who actually make the laws, who actually have impact. Everybody votes for the president and forgets to vote for all the little guys who are the actual workers. Like, you go to a hospital, the nurse is doing most of the work. The doctor does you half the time. So it's like, you ask the doctor to put an IV line in, you'll leave that hospital with more holes in your arms than you came in there.
Eddie, I'm going to say this. All right, right along these lines where you were talking about politics, okay. If you study history, remember what Rothschild said. He said, I don't care who makes the laws, just as long as I have the money. So, which means whoever has the money, really in reality, is making the laws.
So Eddie, you have a lot of small business owners that are going to be watching this show, a lot of gym owners, a lot of just small business owners, salons, and so on and so forth. You've got a banking background. What would you recommend if you were in their shoes, which you are? What do you think would be an avenue for them to possibly try to weather all this?
Honestly, there's a bunch of different things you can do, and it all depends on where you are. I think Debra and you yourself brought up the co-work space.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of business owners now are the biggest problem is going to be real estate. And all of these small businesses got to work together now. There's a lot of entrepreneurs. There's a lot of people that are staying at home, working at home, that now you got to get involved with the gyms. You got to get involved with the law offices. You got to get involved with the delis that might have extra space that's not being occupied and used. They got a small office in the back. Now you come in, you rent that space, you create an expense for it. Now you can write off more things. Now you can write off more expenses. Now you have a working environment, and now you're splitting the bills. So now you're able to expand instead of getting nervous. Because what happens is when the market goes down low, all the people have no experience, they leave. They run, they're scared, they take their money, they pull it. Then when the market takes off and is doing well, they get back in, which is the complete opposite. If you want to buy something, you want to wait till it's on sale. Right now, our economy is on sale.
Yes, it is.
That scares me the most is that other people from other countries are coming in right now and they're buying up our assets. They're buying all our stuff because it's on sale and they see it. But we don't get taught this stuff in school. In school, and listen, I went to Fordham University, like Nick said earlier. I graduated with a high 3.8 GPA. I always did well in school. But what they don't teach you in school is how to be an entrepreneur, how to make money, how to survive.
They don't want the competition, Eddie.
Right.
Exactly. They're teaching you to be a good employee. They're teaching you.
And they put you in debt up to your throat.
It's scary. If you mean to tell me that if somebody would come to you and tell you you're going to dump over $250,000 in 4 years, you're going to owe me over $250,000, and when you get out, even though I told you I'm going to give you a job, I'm going to give you a job that's not going to be able to pay your loans back, let alone your expenses.
Right, they count on it.
You take that same $250,000 and invest it in yourself and see where you go. You'll make 10,000 times that. But they make you afraid. Somebody told me a job is just above broke. That's what a job stands for, just above broke. And we're programmed with this mentality. And listen, I'm guilty of it, right? Because our parents tell us, you want to go to school, get a good education, get a good job.
They don't know any better.
Right.
That's
You
right.
know, they didn't have anybody to tell them.
Job security doesn't even exist anymore. It doesn't even exist anymore. Like, it literally doesn't even exist anymore. And everybody makes being an entrepreneur, that's the new sexy thing. What are you, entrepreneur? What do you do, entrepreneur? Most people don't understand what the heck an entrepreneur is. There's a lot of business.
Drug dealer's an entrepreneur. A drug dealer's an entrepreneur.
That's facts.
Look at Jay-Z. Look at how he parlayed it.
Crazy is that, right?
Right? And he's self-made. You know, hate him, love him, whatever. He made it. He's came from the bottom and he's on the top, right? Like Jake said, Drake said, whatever.
Hey, gang, I mean, I can listen.
But what you do with that $1 million, that's impressive. You could lose
All right,
it.
gang, listen,
Hey, gang,
we're going to wrap this up because we're going a little over time, but we're going to have Eddie on our other show with our colleague Jeff Anton, who's an attorney in Midtown Manhattan, and we're going to look at the legal ramifications of this. So if you want to check that out, you can go to the Jeffrey Anton page and the Law Office of Nick Cavallo page. We're going to have Case No Case, and we're going to have Eddie as a guest on that show as well, explaining things from a different angle. And Eddie, we all want to thank you for spending time and giving us a lot of your insight and sharing it with our viewers. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
I thank you. The pleasure's mine. Thanks for having me, Jersey Mike, Nick.
Yep.
Debra.
So
you guys are amazing.
All right, guys. Jersey, wrap it up.
All right, this is Jersey Mike. I hope you enjoyed our episode. Keep the comments coming in. Of course, we'd like to thank Eddie, especially for being on the show today. Thanks, Ed. And I'd like to say, I've been saying, going to Debra Face, the face of real estate, and Coach Nick. We'd all like to say thank you, and we'll see you again.
We're out of here, peeps.
Peace out.
Catch you later. Bye-bye.